my wife actually said something really cool yesterday. She's like, we were talking kind of about this interview and what we would say. And she said, now, being able to get out and do something that was normal is now extraordinary. At one point, there was a point in my life where I couldn't walk up the stairs without, getting out of breath. And, you take walking up the stairs for granted and stuff like that. So it's like, but thank God I'm like, way past that. I'm doing much better, getting out more, using photography and nature to kind of help me through this process.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Wild Shutter Podcast, the podcast where we speak to photographers about their favorite images. If you're listening on an audio platform, thank you so much. In fact, our audio podcasts have been growing in popularity slowly as we've been producing more and more episodes. But if you are on audio only, I strongly encourage you to go to YouTube and watch our podcast there. You're not going to want to miss the fantastic images that our guest today has produced. And one final bit of housekeeping here before we get started and I introduce you to our guest. We now have a group on Facebook that's, again, slowly growing in popularity, and I've been really enjoying the pictures that the members of the group have been posting. So, again, log into Facebook and participate there. Show us your images. Tell us the stories behind those images. Okay, so without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Randy Richard. Randy is from Pennsylvania like I am, but as we were just discussing, he's from the other side of the state, so we have a little bit of sports rivalries going there, which is always fun. But anytime you can talk to somebody that enjoys the same things that you enjoy, it makes for good conversation. So not only sports, but I'm excited to talk to Randy today about his photography. Thank you for being with us today, Randy.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Randy and I had the chance, it was kind of a chance happening. We were both in the same spot this spring photographing warblers. And personally, I enjoy kind of doing things on my own. The day before, I had been there with someone that I had a great time with, great conversation. And then the next day, I was kind of going to be on my own, and I was just walking around. And sometimes whenever I do that, I don't know about you, Randy, but I kind of get blinders on. I'm not really paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
But it's great to bump into people and talk. And whenever, I don't know how we started talking, but we did.
So it was because the boardwalk was packed, right? So
Right.
So
we were at McGee Marsh too, we should say.
Yes. Oh, yes. Exactly. So the boardwalk was really packed. So me and my wife Erin were kind of like, let's get out of here for a little bit. We need some room to breathe. So there was a nice just natural trail along this water, and nobody was there. Everybody was on the boardwalk. So it was like, so when I bumped into you, it was like exactly. So you can get the same birds over there and stuff. So it was nice to kind of get away from the crowd for a little bit.
So whenever we bumped into each other, I mean, I had bumped into tons of people that day, obviously, because it's so packed, but we just started talking and it was so enjoyable. And I'm like, wow, I like talking to this guy. He's a really nice guy. And, so then after that, you started following each other on social media. And it wasn't until that, during our conversation, I didn't know your story. And I've slowly been getting to know your story, which we're going to share with our audience here as we go along, that I think will be very interesting for everyone to hear. But before we get into your background and everything in your personal life, I'd like to know a little bit about you as a photographer. How did you get started in wildlife photography? How did you become interested?
Yeah, so I've always had that passion and that love for animals. Just even when I was a little kid. I don't know if you're probably old enough to have remember the Encyclopedia Britannicas. Oh yeah. And you open them up and read all the stuff about the frogs and the bats and the snakes, and so just had a interest in wildlife since I was really little. And I met my wife. We kind of shared that same interest, and we would go out on hikes, and hiking became very big for us, and we used to do a lot of hiking just around local preserves, local parks and game lands and stuff like that. And we have this place out here called French Creek Park and Big Woods. And it's like, the most continuous forest in Pennsylvania, uncut. I don't know exactly the right term for it, but contiguous, I guess. And so we have a big area of natural, trees and land and open space. And so we like to get out there, and we used to hike and try to find, any little nook that we could to go explore. And, it was really cool. And we would come across the coolest things. Obviously, if you've been out, you always come across, really, really cool things. So I wanted to start documenting it. And I started with this, I believe it was a Coolpix, Nikon Coolpix P900 little, point and shoot camera. So I started just taking pictures of stuff that we'd see, and getting more and more interested in, the photography side of it. And I took a picture of a cedar waxwing one day. And, I was aware of them, but I've never really saw them like up close. And I saw this picture of the cedar waxwing, and I was just like, wow, it has this black mask, these red wax tips on the ends of the wings, a really cool yellow stripe on the tail, and it was beautiful, right? And I was just like, well, that is really interesting. And that kind of like exploded my love for birds. And there's always, to this day, and that was probably 7 years ago, going on, 8 years ago. And, still finding birds very interesting. They're always different. So my photography kind of changed over the years, and it's kind of more bird focused nowadays. But, I'll take a picture of anything that moves. I still have that love for the snakes and the turtles and the frogs and all that stuff. So anything I can find, I love to take a picture of. And I got my first DSLR probably about 5 years ago, and started editing maybe about 3 years ago. So I'm just progressing as I go along in photography. But it all started with my love of wildlife, and me and my wife out hiking, and just grew from there.
Well, that's fantastic. And I didn't realize, it's 3 years of editing. I mean, your images are incredible. And definitely, I mean, you have to take a good image initially, but I think
Yes.
your images are just super clean, and that's the editing process too, not overdoing it or anything like that.
Yeah, I really try not to overdo it. I try to stay as true to the actual camera image as possible. And you know how much I love clean backgrounds. I know we've talked
Yeah,
about that before.
absolutely.
So it's really just I really want to take that image and not have to do a lot with it. You know what I mean? That kind of makes a good picture to me. And if I have to do a lot with it, then I lose interest in it. I don't like doing a lot of editing. I just, I'd rather, do a quick edit and get it posted, as opposed to, sitting there and trying to, take out branches and do some of that stuff that you can do with that software.
That's for cold winter days whenever you can't get out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, right now we want to be outside doing those things.
Exactly.
So you said that you started with the Nikon Coolpix. Have you stuck with Nikon?
I've stuck with Nikon. Yeah.
Okay.
I have the D500, so I know I will get to mirrorless eventually, but the D500 works for what I like to do with it for now. And for wildlife, I typically use my 200 to 500 millimeter Nikkor lens. I do have, I started to get a little bit into macro photography. I do have a macro lens. So if I see a jumping spider outside, or, some cool bug, I'll go throw on my macro lens and play around with that a little bit.
Yeah, that's a total other animal right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. A lot of learning to do there yet.
Yeah. Awesome. So just another thing about like the camera that you started with. So you said that was about 7 years ago. Now, I can't remember where iPhones were at and everything, but I just wonder, people, I think, don't buy those cameras anymore, right?
No.
I think the manufacturers aren't producing quite as many of them anymore either.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just interesting how the years go on. You hear less and less people that started with something like a Coolpix or Power
Right.
Shot or whatever Canon calls it.
Exactly. Now it's like an iPhone with like the little lens attached to the iPhone, and
Exactly. Yeah. So it's funny how technology changes, and the beginnings for people, those stories are going to start to change too.
yeah.
Interesting. So I wanted to kind of ask you this question, and I don't know if this is the best way to get us started or not, but I had seen this picture that you had posted recently of a tricolored heron. Mm-hmm. And in that post, you talked about the significance of that heron, or that picture of the heron.
Yeah.
And I know that wasn't the beginning of this story, mm-hmm. but however you want to start to talk about this, the heron picture, I'll put it on the screen, was beautiful. I mean, just clean background, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I love that shot.
So that shot, I took that back in 2019. I did repost it recently because it is significant to me. So back in 2019, I was diagnosed with renal cell carcinoma, and it took over my right kidney. It was an aggressive cancer, and I found it because of some other issue that I was having. They did some scans and found it. So that day that I went to the heronry, it was my first time there, and I kind of had a lot of things in my mind, right? So I was just recently diagnosed, and I was actually going into surgery the next day. So when I was at that heronry, the thoughts that were going through my mind were, like, I have to go, do this, get my kidney removed. I have this disease inside me, and a lot of unknowns at that point. It was still, early in the diagnosis. But I was able to get out to the heronry, see some awesome birds. It was my first time there, and it was my first time seeing a tricolored heron. So that was my lifer tricolored heron as well. So it was kind of a juxtaposition, you know what I mean? I had some, great feelings, and which you need to have that release and, take your mind off of, things that might be stressing you out in life. That's one thing about, wildlife photography, and just nature in general, right, is, it's really helped in my healing process as well, with all these things that I've been going through. I think I had 3 surgeries last year. One was a wedge resection in my lung to kind of, it was to biopsy some stuff they were finding in my lungs. And then in September of last year, they did another biopsy. It was actually a bronchoscopy of my lung, and found a lot of cancer in my lungs. So actually what happened was the cancer that was in my kidney years later showed up in my lungs. So now it's metastatic. It's automatically stage 4 because it traveled to my lungs. They found it in my lymph nodes. So last year was a really tough year for me. Just physically, just being able to get out. I really couldn't get out a lot. I had this cough. I would wake up in the morning and I would cough and hack and gag for like an hour. And then also, my oxygen levels were really low. My energy levels were really low, just a lot of bad things going on. So that's kind of why they started looking, for cancer in other places. So when they found it there, I did start treatment in October. That was after my last surgery. They started me on treatment, and the treatment for the metastatic RCC is the one that I am on is called Cabometyx, and there's an immunotherapy as well. So the Cabometyx is basically a chemo drug. It's a pill. You take it orally. It kind of comes in these like caution hazardous drug bags, that are, hand delivered to the house. So it's really powerful stuff, right? So when I started that in October, I started to feel some side effects from it. First thing that happened is my blood pressure just shot up through the roof. I think my blood pressure was like 170 over 120 or something like that, like on average. So I'm currently now on two blood pressure medications. Then after we got that fixed, I actually had to come off the Cabo and then go back on after my blood pressure was fixed. Then after that, I started getting these sores on my hands and my feet and in my mouth. So everything I would eat or drink would be really spicy, and my tongue and the inside of my mouth were like swollen. So I really couldn't eat or drink anything for a couple weeks there. Um, so that was really rough. And just different things like that. Another side effect was my sciatic nerve. It affected because what happened was I had some inflammation in my gallbladder that was pressing down on my sciatic nerve. So I couldn't walk for 2 weeks. Like, just all these different side effects were going on all of last year. And, so we worked at it. I have a team of doctors, obviously, that I'm working with. I have more doctors than you'll ever want to have in your life. I mean, I'm talking, oncologist, nephrologist, pulmonologist, and a urologist, all their nurses. I have a dietitian. Like, it's crazy. And so I don't know where I was going with that, but we all worked as a team to kind of help mitigate these side effects. And I recently, even acupuncture. I have an acupuncturist that's also an MD, and he kind of works. So he kind of does like Eastern medicine. So I don't know if you know this, but this is just an interesting fact. In China, they don't even use chemo. So that's not what they use to treat cancer. So this acupuncturist is kind of giving me some herbs and stuff like that in acupuncture, and doing some stuff that they would do on the Eastern medicine side. So I have the chemo for Western medicine side, and I have the Eastern medicine side working. So we're trying everything, right? But we were able to kind of get to a place where my body is tolerating the drug. I recently just started immunotherapy back in February, and every scan since then has been very positive. All the nodules and everything that they've found in the lungs have shrunk or stayed stable. So hopefully, one day here soon, I'll be able to, look at those scans and they'll say, no evidence of disease, and that'll be a very, very, very happy day. But until then, at least we're seeing positive results, and we continue to see positive results. So I'm very happy about that. And nature and wildlife photography has actually played a big role in that recovery as well. It helps just getting out of nature. I said earlier, takes your mind off of a lot of things that might be going on that are negative. You don't have to think about it. You can relax. It's a release, and it helped tremendously with the anxiety and all that stuff. And so I was really prescribing myself some nature as much as I could, through all of this. And I've been able to get out more and do more hikes. And my wife actually said something really cool yesterday. She's like, we were talking kind of about this interview and what we would say, and she said, now being able to get out and do something that was normal is now extraordinary. So it's kind of like, the normal becomes the extraordinary. So now, I monitor kestrels at a nearby preserve. And I was worried this year because I'm like, I don't know if I'll be able to do it. It's a 2-hour hike, to do the whole thing from start to finish. And we got out there, we did it, we finished, and then we high-fived at the end, because it was like, it was, something that we normally did years ago. It was extraordinary this year, and big accomplishment. So
yeah, well, that's fantastic. I didn't realize whenever I asked you to do this interview that this was something you were still dealing with.
Oh yeah.
So like, I didn't know the whole background at all. Like, I knew that it was at least in the past, and yeah, I didn't realize this is an ongoing thing at this point.
It is. I'm still on chemo. I'm still on immunotherapy, and that'll probably be the way the doctor explained it is, it's indefinite until there's like no evidence of disease, and once that happens, they they'll probably take me off of the chemo and the immunotherapy. But we're probably talking about at least another. I mean, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but it's been since February this year, and his kind of time frame that he kind of guessed at was a year and a half. So we'll see. So,
Yeah. Wow. Something that I say something often, I guess, is that like we don't appreciate the good times, the healthy times, the happy times enough. I feel like just people in general, we're always causing our own problems. We're always causing our own drama. We're always causing these issues rather than enjoying the time whenever you don't have an issue. And someone in your situation, it's probably a whole lot easier. Like you said, you're not a whole lot easier, but you're celebrating those simple things that we take for granted sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. When again, we've talked to me and my wife have talked about that. Like at one point, there was a point in my life where I couldn't walk up the stairs without, getting out of breath. And you take walking up the stairs for granted and stuff like that. So it's like, but thank God I'm like, way past that. I'm doing much better, getting out more, using photography and nature to kind of help me through this process, and getting better and better every day. So,
are you still having the issues in the morning with the
no,
stuff in your throat?
No. The weird things now, like some weird side effect. My hair turned all white. It was like all my hair, like my eyebrows, my beard, everything. So it's coming back in now, but it's still blonde. I mean, I had really dark brown hair, before I started the immunotherapy and the chemo, and it turned my hair like white. And luckily it's coming back a little bit right now, but it's still got a little ways to go to where it was. So weird things like that. I still have a little bit of sciatic pain. I've had bad digestion for like the past 7 months that we've been working on. So I'm still having like a little bit of side effects. But it's we kind of work on it as they come up. So I'm feeling okay today. Some days are better than others, but as these side effects come up, I work with my doctors and my team to kind of figure out what the next steps are.
Yeah. So I didn't ask you this at the beginning. Your career, what do you do? And then how has this maybe affected that, or hasn't it?
Well, thankfully, I work at home. I do a desk job. So I work as a strategic execution partner for a staffing company. So it's kind of like project management. So if they have some strategic projects that are going on in the company, I'll help manage those projects through from start to finish. I can do that from home. So thank goodness it has not affected my work, other than I have tons and tons and tons of appointments. Now my work has been amazing, because when I started immunotherapy, I had to get it every 2 weeks. So that's a day off every 2 weeks. My boss pretty much said, don't take PTO, do what you need to do. We're here for you. And thank goodness I have the job that I have, because I don't know what I'd do if I had to take so much time off for all these appointments and stuff that I have to do.
Yeah.
So I'm very lucky there.
You mentioned the Kestrel project and the 2-mile like round trip hike out to do that and everything. So that kind of leads me to another question regarding hikes, and something that you and your wife really enjoy doing. I was seeing stories about was it birdie walks or birdie hikes?
Birdie steps, yes.
Birdie steps, that's what it was. The birdie steps. Yeah. So what is that?
So in our journey to kind of, after I had cancer, to kind of reach out and find like different resources to kind of help us through this. We stumbled upon the Kidney Cancer Association. And this is an association that kind of tries to raise awareness for kidney cancer. and they had a fundraiser back in June, basically it was based on the fact that 82,000 people a year will be diagnosed with kidney cancer. And so what they said was, we're going to try to raise $82,000 to help for research and also for getting the word out about kidney cancer. And so they basically left it up to the people that wanted to contribute to kind of come up with their own thing. The theme was like 82,000 or 82, that number, do what you want to do. They were saying things like, do 82 jumping jacks, just, raise $5, whatever you can do. So Erin actually, when we were coming back from McGee Marsh, Erin actually came up with the idea of, hey, why don't we do birdie steps? We love to hike. We're doing it anyway. 82,000 steps is, it's not a little, but it's definitely not impossible. So it's, we're not, just doing, 82 jumping jacks or whatever and calling it a day. So she kind of put that together and ran with it. We had a goal of about $282. We ended up raising over $2,800. So 10 times the amount of what we set out to raise. We beat our goal by 10 times that amount. And we were, so basically what it was is we would step kind of like, how you ride bike for cancer or walk for cancer. So we were doing birdie steps for cancer. So the rules were, though, you had to be birding. So she had to have her binoculars on. I had to have my camera. And it was really cool. We did like a little side quest that, we said, okay, well, we're getting pretty many species here. Let's try to get 82 species, another 82 number. So we did a side quest of, tried to get 82 species. I think
not 87, by the way, right?
Yeah, exactly. We beat 82. I think it was like 87 or 90, something like that.
Prior to us recording, we were talking about, I'm a Pens fan, he's a Flyers fan, and 87 is Sidney Crosby. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we tried we tried to avoid that number. Right. So, so that was a cool little side quest that we put together. And I think this is going to become an annual thing. This year was the first year that we did it. And, hopefully we have a lot of birder friends, maybe we can get a team going and getting everybody involved and getting everybody walking and raising money. And that would be really cool.
Yeah. Really neat. So I'm sorry, I was making my penguins joke. How many species did you end up with?
I'm not sure. We kind of stopped counting after 82. So I know.
Okay. So it could have been 87.
It could have been 87. Yeah. We'll have to go back and look because I know Erin has the number. If it's 87, I'll just have to, scratch that out and put in 88. So I think Lindros was 88, right?
That's right. That's right. There you go.
And kidney cancer, they ended up, the Kidney Cancer Association ended up raising like 110,000 that month. So they blew their goal out of the water. So it was really cool.
Wow. Well, that's fantastic. So we haven't even talked about any of your images yet. Yeah. So real quick though, along that birdie walk, did you end up with an image that you were really excited about that represents that walk?
No, not in June, unfortunately. Maybe that'll be a goal for future years. But that's actually maybe another side quest, right? Get an image that I really like for that walk. But there it was more about the walk and the birding and
right.
Getting the steps in. So, I think that's probably a good side quest for a future year when we do this. It's a good idea.
That's fantastic. So let's bring up some of your images and let everyone see them. The first one that I'd like to look at is the magnolia warbler. Beautiful, beautiful bird. I love these guys, and your image just bounces off the screen because of that green background that he's surrounded in. So tell us the story behind that shot. So
that was shortly after my DSLR purchase about 5 years ago. I believe it was about 5 years ago when I took that picture. It was when I was still shooting in JPEG because I was a novice. I didn't really realize. So I was shooting in JPEG, and uh, so that image is actually was shot in JPEG, so there wasn't a lot of editing done with it. But me and Erin, we took a long weekend down in Cape May, which is a really good birding spot, of South Jersey. And we were aware of warblers, and we were there to kind of, let's just see what we can see. We didn't never been in a fallout, never experienced warblers like that before. So when we got to Cape May, and there was actually a storm that rolled through. After the storm, we're like, okay, well, it stopped raining. Let's try to get out and do some birding while it stopped raining. And we walked out, and we were outside the Cape May Bird Observatory, and it was just fallout. And there was these little yellow birds just low in the trees all over the place, just tons of them. And me and Erin were just like, what is going on here? It was so cool. So that's the image that I always like refer to, when we talk about warblers and migration and stuff like that. That magnolia warbler, and Maggies are like that spark warbler bird for me, that spark migration bird for me. Because that was like the first time we really experienced migration and warbler fallout, and it was just blew us off our feet. It was really cool to have so many little yellow and blue and different colors of these birds just all around us. That's why that image is special to me.
And I love the magnolia warbler. I mean, there's black and whites, there's yellows, and this one has everything,
Everything. Yeah, right. Exactly. Even a little bit of green on the back. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful shot. Wow. So how about this elegant trogon?
Okay. Now, none of these pictures are my best pictures, but they do come with, I feel like it's like the experiences, and this is why these are my favorites, because I had an experience behind them. Because in this elegant trogon picture, there's a lot of branches going on. It's really busy, and I don't like busy, but I love this bird and I love this image because it was our first time in Arizona. Have you ever been to a Madera Canyon?
No, I've never been to Arizona.
Arizona, okay. So Arizona has this spot way down in southeast Arizona called Madera Canyon, and it's great for birding. It's like one of the top birding spots in the country. And we went out to Arizona this was 2019, early 2019, in like April 2019, and we went out to Arizona. We went to Madera Canyon, and basically it's like just the Santa Rita Mountains, and you kind of get into Madera Canyon. You start driving up this road up the mountains. Where you start, it's like really dry and hot. You're in Arizona, but by the time you get up to as far as you can drive up the mountain, you got like oak trees, you got sumac trees, you got maple trees, and you're like, "Am I in Arizona?"
Yeah,
It's like really cool, and it's a great spot for just like tons and tons of different birds. They have 15 species of hummingbird that fly through there, and it's really cool. And they have the elegant trogons, and that's kind of like one of their selling points, because they're not really found anywhere else in the U.S. other than southeast Arizona, and specifically Madera Canyon. So once we got up to like as far as we could go driving, we got out and we started hiking along this like little intermittent stream with like these oaks and sumacs along the stream. I'm like, I read that this is where elegant trogons like to be. I think I read that. So we're walking along this trail, and we hear it way down in the canyon, and we hear it barking. It sounded like a dog or something. It was really this really cool call, yeah. And we're like, so we heard it. We're like, well, maybe we should just kind of wait out here, see if it comes up this little creek here, and we heard it getting closer and closer, and then when it just lands right next to us, right off the trail, and I was clicking away, and it was just such a great experience because even you can go there multiple times. Like people that even live in Arizona will go there and not always see the elegant trogon. So the fact that we were there for one day, just a few hours, and that we got to experience that was incredible. And I got some, and it's a great bird. It was a great experience, and yeah, it's just definitely one that we would remember. And I was shooting raw at that time too. So
Nice. So, are you still shooting raw, or are you shooting sea raw at this point?
I'm shooting raw.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
Raw.
Yeah, because you said you're not mirrorless yet. So,
Not mirrorless yet. Nope.
yeah.
I'll get there. I'll get there.
And that's kind of a debate I've had with myself. So once you go to mirrorless, we'll talk.
Yeah. Okay.
See what you think. But
All
yeah,
right,
I
all
love that shot though.
Good.
It's beautiful. It looks so tropical. Just this really cool bird. I love that ring around the eye. And
Oh
all
yeah,
that stuff.
yeah, and the tail, the detail in the tail. It's really cool bird.
Yeah. Awesome. So how about your fox sparrow shot?
Fox sparrow shots, yes. So I really like this shot. This might be like out of the three, kind of like the aesthetically pleasing. Probably the most aesthetically pleasing to me. The clean background, obviously, that we say. But the story behind this one was this is a bird that I was chasing probably for a good 2 years at least. And for some reason, I could just not get this bird, and I don't know why. They're all over the place. We're not in like a weird area for them or anything like that. And it was just one of those birds that just I could never get. And just one day when me and Erin were out hiking, we knew that they were at a park near us, Valley Forge Park. We knew that there was a population of them there. So we were just walking around, and we actually heard them. And spotted them pretty far off, off the trail. And, we kind of waited and waited, and we saw it fly over into this little patch of foliage in the middle of this field. And we're like, okay, well, let's go over and check it out. So we found it, and, so we were waiting there around this little patch of green in the middle of this field. And, we were hearing it call, and then it just popped up and gave me the greatest looks of any just there's looks that you just like you dream of, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And he did, and he kind of danced around for me a little bit, went on to some awesome perches. And not only that, the thing that I like about this too is like the color of the background. Now, I didn't do any editing to that background. It's kind of like a grayish. Even that perch that he's on is kind of gray, and that came right out of camera. And so it was. I just really love that color, and he kind of really goes along with that background too. The color of it, the look of it, the feel of it, and the fact that it was my life for fox sparrow. All that kind of puts that at the top of the list for me as well. But I really like that shot a lot.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So as you were describing kind of like capturing that shot, do you follow the bird, or are you more inclined to find a perch and kind of hope?
So my strategy has changed over the years, right? So I used to be following the bird. That's what I used to do. And it was always, the bird's going to, take a picture of the bird when it is where it is. And I still do that to, a little bit, but for me now it's the perch, and it's the area, and it's, I have this beautiful perch and this beautiful light. I need a bird to land right there, and I will focus on that area, for the entire time that we're, in an area with birds. I really go out, when I go out to shoot, I really look for an area now versus the bird. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. Now that's changed. Like I said, when I first, started shooting birds, it's all about, I got to go get the bird. I don't care if it's in like, a bunch of branches and leaves all over the place. But now it's more of, hey, this is a beautiful perch. I just need a bird here. And that's kind of my approach now.
Yeah.
When I go out shooting.
Awesome. So I don't consider myself a birder. I shoot. I prefer bears and deer
Yeah.
and elk and all that stuff. But over the years, I've really learned to appreciate what I have locally and appreciate the birds. And we do have some osprey and herons that I love photographing, and eagles, and I love that stuff. But, going to McGee, I've really learned to appreciate the small birds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I know that birders and bird photographers, and I know they're two different things, right? Because you have one of each in your household, I think.
Right.
So what is the craziest thing you guys have done as birders and bird photographers to get a species?
Ooh, I really think it's the traveling. You go to the craziest places for birds. Okay. So I think, probably the craziest thing for me is we took a trip back in January 2020 to Zaxxon Bog up in Minnesota in the middle of winter. So we're sitting out there trying to get great gray owls, and it's like negative 20 degrees. So that's the type of crazy thing that birders do to go get their shots. The weather, you're leaning off of cliffs, you just, stuff like that you put yourself in, that you really wouldn't otherwise. Right. So why would I be, in some field in the middle of Minnesota in the middle of winter, when it's negative 20 here? I wouldn't, there's no way I would be in that field, unless I'm looking for a great gray owl. So I really think it's like the places you put yourself to get those birds is kind of like the crazy factor, right?
Right.
So
yeah. People at work, I know, they're like, you're going on vacation. You don't even know if you're going to find this thing you're looking for. You're going to be miserable while you're trying to do it, but you got to do it.
It was funny, right? Right. It was funny. So when I was telling people about my vacation to McGee Marsh, they're like, "Oh, where are you going for vacation?" I'm like, "Oh, a swamp in Ohio." They're like, "What? Why do you want to go to a swamp in Ohio?" I'm like, "It's the best."
Yeah. So going back to the bog, did you get the great gray shot?
Yes. Yeah. So I got the great gray, which was the target bird, the target species for going there. But obviously, just where you're at, a lot of those boreal species come down to the top of Minnesota there, and we got a lot of other cool things too. But the great gray is the one I was after that trip.
That's on my list. I've been wanting a great gray. We're in Yellowstone 2019, and someone had kind of told me a good spot, and we tried, and nothing.
Go to Zaxxon in January. You'll find them. There's a lot there. So
it's funny. I'm actually going through, and I'm going to be there in a couple of weeks. I don't think I'm going to find a great gray, but I'm going to give it a try.
Hey, they're there. I mean, even not even in the even in the summer and the spring, they live there. So hey, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you.
I figure I can't go by without checking, right?
Right. Oh, exactly.
So I was going to ask you about your dream species then.
Yes. So dream species, which kind of ties into a trip that we're planning next year. So dream species for me would be the albatross. I just think they're beautiful birds. They're very, they're not jazzy. There's not a lot of different colors to them and anything like that. But I mean, I think just their size and I feel they're just a beautiful, beautiful bird. And I think that would be the dream species for me. And I guess I'm kind of segueing into probably the next question, but we're actually planning next year to head out to Galapagos
awesome.
to go see, in November of next year, to kind of go see the albatross. And then if you asked my wife what her dream species was, it's the blue-footed booby. So we'll both of us get our dream species once we're out there. But we're really looking forward to that trip, and it's more than a year out. So I feel I'm progressing very well, and by a year from now, I should be fine. I mean, I'd have to be dead to not go to Galapagos. So let's just put it that way. So nothing's going to keep me from going to Galapagos. So we're very excited about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations! I can't wait to see what you get from there.
I'm looking forward to it, definitely. Yeah, and just being an overall, in general, animal lover, they have the the lizards there, the tortoises, like all that stuff too that you get to experience when you're out there. So I really can't wait to get out there and see what it has to offer.
Yeah, that's going to be a fantastic trip.
Absolutely.
So we'll kind of start to wrap up here. Thought I'd ask you just a couple fun questions so everyone can get to know you even a little bit further. So
All right.
you're a Philly guy, so I'm sure like the Philly cheesesteak is probably high on your list of food, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, that used to be one of my favorite things to eat, the Philly cheesesteak. Absolutely.
So, and maybe this isn't a fair question if your diet has changed, but I was going to ask, what are your favorite pizza toppings? Are you still eating pizza?
I am not. I can't do dairy anymore, but I can. I still my favorite pizza toppings are pepperoni and green pepper.
Yeah.
Like just that combination. I probably shouldn't talk about it because I can't eat it. When I used to eat pizza, pepperoni and green pepper were my favorite toppings, and nothing beat that. And it was the best pizza was Little Caesars too. I don't know why I like that so much, but Little Caesars pizza,
It's cheap.
the square, it's cheap. The square with the pepperoni and the green peppers, and then the crazy bread, can't beat it.
Crazy bread. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess let me adapt this question. What is your favorite thing that you eat now?
Oh man, my favorite thing that I eat now, I can still eat pasta. So I'm a big pasta guy. My wife is vegan, I used to say, before I had to do it, I used to say that I was, married into vegan because she does all the cooking. So, so I was basically vegan by default.
Yeah.
Lots and lots of pastas still. So spaghettis, she makes some good, spaghetti casseroles I can still eat all that stuff, and I can't get enough of pasta. So that's kind of my favorite. Garlic bread and all that stuff that goes along with it. Yeah, I can still I can get into a bowl of spaghetti.
That sounds pretty good right now, actually.
Right.
Favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show? I'd have to say Futurama. I think that's probably my favorite.
I've never gotten into that one.
It's very quirky. I think it's intelligent and quirky, and I don't know why. It just makes me. I can't watch that show without like belly laughing. That's some of the jokes that they have there. So I don't know. I think that's probably one of my favorites. That's probably up there as one of my top.
Okay, music.
Music. So it changes a lot, kind of like my favorite bird does too, right? Changes all the time. Right now, I'm listening to a lot of Modest Mouse, and getting kind of back into that. So indie rock is probably kind of where I fall.
Yeah.
On the music spectrum, and anything new, right? I love new music, so I listen to a college radio station, Princeton. Just to see what they're playing because, there's college kids, they all know all the good new music and keep me young, I feel. So I'd like to have that on in my car. But I've been listening to a lot of Modest Mouse lately.
I have a college kid that lives here in the summer, and the stuff that I'm like, oh, geez.
Yeah, some of the stuff is kind of out there, absolutely. Yeah, but they do have some gems that I could come across.
Yep. Favorite team. So we were talking a little bit about teams. Do you lean like what's your favorite sport? Let's go there first, maybe.
To watch, my favorite sport is probably either football or hockey. And we were talking about that earlier. I probably watch more football. So that's probably my favorite sport. I used to play football in high school. It's a sport that I love. That's probably my favorite sport.
So are you an Eagles guy then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Eagles guy. Yep. Now I grew up really loving the Chicago Bears. That was my original favorite team. It was because 85, that team back in 85 with, Refrigerator Perry and McMahon and the whole, I forget the running back's name, but when they won that Super Bowl in 85, that was the first Super Bowl that I can remember watching with my dad. And, and that kind of really sparked my love for Chicago Bears. And that was always my favorite team growing up. So between Bears and Eagles, I think those are probably my favorite teams.
Well, those are two things I like to shoot. So,
yeah. Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Awesome. So last question here. And I kind of adapted this. Everyone wants to know, oh, you win $1 million. No, I want to get a little bit more realistic. You win $10,000. What do you do with $10,000?
Oh, we're going on a trip. We're definitely going on a trip. Now, to where? That's a good question. I guess it depends on what bird I would like to see at that time. So I think you can probably do a really good Florida trip on 10 grand, right? You could probably go to all the hot spots, go see the burrowing owls. You can go see the snail kites. You can go see the scrub jays, and go down in the Everglades, see some gators and some manatees. I think you could probably hit up that whole state pretty well with $10,000. So that might be a good one.
As long as you don't go to Disney, because I think you're going to eat it all up in one day.
right. So. No Disney.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk with me today, Randy. Really enjoyed getting to know you better, and definitely we'll be praying for you and for Erin. And I know anyone that listens to this will be doing the same as well. And it sounds like,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and now that you say that, just one last thing before we go. If anybody is having like any thoughts about coming out with their health issues, publicly, I did it back in March. If you look at my March 1st post, I kind of put it out there. The love and support that I got from the community was just incredible. I'm really glad that I did it. So if there's somebody's like kind of, on the fence about, should I share this or not, my advice is to definitely share it, because especially in the photography and birding community, it's such a wonderful community, and I think you'll get a lot of support and a lot of love back from everybody. Yeah. So it was really wonderful. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Blew my mind.
I appreciate you doing that here with us too, and maybe even opening up a little bit more, because I think that a lot of people deal with, whether it's this kind of thing or something else, we all are dealing with something, and it helps to talk about it. It helps to get support from people, as you said. So,
absolutely.
We're all on the same journey here together, so we might as well help each other out. So,
absolutely.
Well, thank you, Randy. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And be sure to check out Randy's Instagram. He has some amazing images on there. As he mentioned, the images that he shared were favorites that had a story connected to them. And I know you're not going to be disappointed if you take a look at his other shots. Those clean backgrounds that he gets are just awesome. So his Instagram, we've had it up on the screen here, but it's naturerich_photography. I love that name, that play with your name with the Instagram account. So that's good stuff. So thank you for listening. Be sure to check out our past episodes and check us out on YouTube. Join that Facebook group, and we'll catch you next time.